When DJ Akademiks stepped onto the podcast with Tony Yayo and Uncle Murda, nobody expected what was about to unfold. What started as a normal discussion quickly turned into an explosive moment that had fans everywhere gasping. Words were said, lines were crossed, and the energy in the room became completely uncontainable. People watching live couldn't believe their eyes. This wasn't just a debate, it was chaos in real time. Sources close to the situation say DJ Akademiks went further than anyone imagined. Voices were raised, accusations flew, and at one point, it seemed like the tension could boil over into something physical. Those familiar with Akademiks know he's no stranger to controversy, but even his most loyal followers were stunned at how far he pushed the conversation. Every reaction, every comment, every expression in that podcast captured the kind of drama that only happens when egos, reputations, and history collide. Fans immediately flooded social media, debating whether Akademiks crossed a line or was simply speaking the truth that nobody else dared. Clips of the confrontation started trending, comments exploded, and the internet lit up with speculation. This wasn't just another podcast moment, it was a cultural event, a lightning rod for hip-hop drama, and a situation that left everyone asking the same question. Did DJ Akademiks go too far, or did Tony Yayo and Uncle Murda deserve it? Strap in, because what you're about to see is raw, unfiltered, and completely shocking. This is the moment the internet won't stop talking about. This explosive podcast wasn't just another casual conversation. It became a battlefield of words, reputations, and raw emotion. What many viewers didn't realize is that the tension between DJ Akademiks, Tony Yayo, and Uncle Murda had been simmering long before the cameras went live. Past interviews, comments, and online posts had created an invisible line of conflict that no one dared cross until now. From the very first minutes, it was clear that this was going to be no ordinary episode. Akademiks didn't hold back, challenging Tony Yayo and Uncle Murda on issues that many fans have debated for years. Topics ranged from loyalty within the hip-hop community to claims of authenticity, past beefs, and even alleged betrayals. Every point DJ Akademiks made was precise, cutting, and calculated, but the delivery? Explosive. Some would describe it as a verbal strike that landed hard and fast, leaving his guests visibly unsettled. Eyewitnesses and podcast insiders reveal that the energy in the room was electric. Every word seemed to escalate the tension. What started as probing questions quickly became heated exchanges. Tony Yayo, known for his calm but firm persona, attempted to respond diplomatically at first, but the barrage of pointed statements from Akademiks made it nearly impossible to maintain composure. Uncle Murda, no stranger to confrontation, pushed back verbally, firing his own remarks and accusations, creating a back and forth that had viewers on the edge of their seats. Social media erupted immediately. Clips of the most shocking moments spread like wildfire across Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. Fans debated who was in the right and who had gone too far, and within hours, hashtags related to the confrontation were trending nationwide. Comments ranged from praise for Akademiks' boldness to criticism for his audacity, with some calling it unprofessional and others labeling it the truth finally spoken. Sources close to the situation suggest that this confrontation wasn't spontaneous. Akademiks had prepared extensively for the discussion, studying past interviews, controversies, and statements made by Tony Yayo and Uncle Murda. But even with preparation, the intensity of the moment surpassed expectations. Observers say that some statements made by Akademiks touched on personal matters that had rarely, if ever, been publicly addressed. These comments intensified the reactions of both guests and fans alike, adding a layer of personal stakes to an already volatile discussion. What made the episode even more captivating was the contrast between the personalities in the room. Akademiks is a master at controlling narrative and extracting reactions, while Tony Yayo and Uncle Murda are veterans of the hip-hop scene who know how to command respect. The collision of these approaches created a dynamic that was as unpredictable as it was explosive. At times, the tension felt almost unbearable, with viewers wondering if the podcast would continue or if it might spiral out of control entirely. Fans watching live described the episode as a war of words, with some moments leaving viewers shocked and others having them laughing at the audacity of certain claims. There were instances where Akademiks challenged not just the credibility of his guests, but also questioned their influence, alliances, and the decisions they had made in past conflicts. Every retort from Yayo and Murda carried the weight of experience, making it clear that no one in that room was going to back down easily. Reactions online highlighted the cultural impact of the discussion. Hip-hop commentators, bloggers, and influencers quickly picked up the clips, dissecting every sentence and facial expression. Analysts debated whether Akademiks had overstepped or if he was simply holding two of hip-hop's most recognized figures accountable. Fans of Tony Yayo and Uncle Murda defended their heroes fiercely, while supporters of Akademiks praised his courage in addressing issues others avoided. This divide created a storm of engagement, driving even more attention to the episode. Another factor contributing to the intensity was the history of the relationships involved. Akademiks has a long-standing presence in hip-hop commentary, often calling out artists on issues of loyalty, authenticity, and reputation. Tony Yayo and Uncle Murda, meanwhile, have long histories in the industry filled with successes, rivalries, and challenges that have defined their careers. When these histories collide in a live setting, the stakes aren't just about opinions, they're about respect, legacy, and public perception. Insiders also suggest that the podcast environment itself amplified the drama. The setup, microphones, and cameras created a setting where every word was magnified, every gesture captured, and every reaction scrutinized. This made the conversation feel far more intense than a normal interview. What might have been a heated phone call or private discussion became a public spectacle with millions watching in real time. Adding to the suspense was the unpredictability of reactions. Akademiks is known for reading the room and pushing buttons strategically, but in this episode, even he seemed surprised at some of the responses. Tony Yayo's calm interjections contrasted sharply with Murda's fiery bursts of energy, creating a roller coaster effect for viewers. Some moments had the audience holding their breath, wondering whether the tension would escalate to an all-out argument. What made this episode so compelling is that it blurred the lines between commentary and confrontation. Akademiks' approach forced Tony Yayo and Uncle Murda to address topics they might otherwise have avoided. The raw honesty, combined with the shock value, created a unique mix of entertainment and controversy. Viewers were witnessing a moment that felt unfiltered, unscripted, and incredibly real, a rare glimpse into the personalities behind the headlines. By the end of the podcast, it was clear that this episode would not be forgotten anytime soon. Clips continue to circulate, hashtags are still trending, and the conversation online shows no signs of slowing down. Fans are replaying moments, analyzing reactions, and debating who won the verbal battle. For Akademiks, this episode reinforced his reputation as someone willing to challenge the biggest names in hip-hop. For Tony Yayo and Uncle Murda, it highlighted the importance of navigating live discussions with poise under pressure. In summary, this episode became an instant cultural event, a must-watch for fans of hip-hop drama. It combined controversy, raw emotion, and strategic commentary to create a podcast moment that is already being talked about across social media. Every angle, from the intensity of the discussion to the personalities involved, worked together to make this confrontation not just a conversation, but a defining moment in the careers and public perception of everyone in that room. The story isn't over. Every clip shared, every comment posted, and every reaction online continues to shape the narrative. And as the conversation spreads across platforms, one thing is certain: DJ Akademiks, Tony Yayo, and Uncle Murda have given the internet something it won't stop talking about anytime soon. As the episode ended, the ripple effects began immediately. Clips from the podcast spread across social media at lightning speed, igniting debates in comment sections, Twitter threads, TikTok videos, and Instagram reels. Fans dissected every moment, from Akademiks' sharp critiques to Tony Yayo's subtle nods and Uncle Murda's fiery comebacks. Every pause, facial expression, and intonation became fodder for speculation. Some viewers claimed to see hidden insults, others praised the candidness, and many were simply mesmerized by the intensity of the interaction. The online reaction wasn't just confined to fan communities. Hip-hop influencers, bloggers, and commentators jumped in, offering breakdowns and analysis. Some praised DJ Akademiks for calling out issues that had long been ignored in hip-hop circles, pointing out that his style forces accountability in a way mainstream media rarely does. Others criticized him for allegedly crossing personal boundaries, suggesting that certain comments were too harsh or unnecessary. This division only fueled engagement, as fans took sides and defended their favorite figures passionately. Inside the industry, sources say that the confrontation has sparked conversations among peers and advisors. Strategists and managers are weighing how this episode might affect reputations, future collaborations, and audience perceptions. Akademiks' reputation as a fearless commentator was reinforced, but some insiders note that moments like these are a double-edged sword. While the publicity increases visibility and reach, it also risks alienating certain collaborators or audiences who may view the intensity as overstepping. Tony Yayo's camp reportedly expressed concern over the public perception of his reactions. Known for maintaining a level-headed demeanor in past conflicts, Yayo's measured responses contrasted sharply with the more aggressive approach of Murda and the relentless probing of Akademiks. This contrast became a central talking point among fans, many of whom debated whether composure or aggression is more effective in these high-stakes situations. Murda, on the other hand, received praise from segments of the fan base for standing his ground, even as Akademiks' commentary rattled the room. What also added fuel to the fire were the underlying histories between the individuals involved. Akademiks has built a brand on analyzing and commenting on hip-hop controversies, often highlighting loyalty, authenticity, and industry politics. Tony Yayo and Uncle Murda have decades of experience navigating street dynamics, label politics, and the pressures of public life. When these experiences collided on the podcast, it created a mix of expertise, emotion, and ego that proved irresistible to viewers. Every statement carried weight beyond the immediate conversation. It resonated with ongoing narratives about credibility, respect, and the evolution of hip-hop culture. The fan response reflected this complexity. Some praised Akademiks for challenging the rappers with pointed questions, arguing that holding public figures accountable is a vital role in the modern media landscape. Others criticized the confrontational tone, arguing that it unnecessarily escalated a discussion that could have remained professional. Social media algorithms, recognizing the spike in engagement, pushed clips even further, making the episode trend across multiple platforms and creating a feedback loop of attention. Interestingly, this episode also highlighted the shifting boundaries between commentary and confrontation. In past decades, celebrity disputes were often mediated by managers or kept behind closed doors. Today, the digital age allows for real-time reactions, instant virality, and direct engagement with audiences. Akademiks' style exemplifies this trend. He doesn't just report. He actively participates in the conversation, amplifying tension while simultaneously creating content that drives discussion. This approach resonates with younger audiences who crave transparency and raw emotion, but it also invites scrutiny from those who value privacy and discretion. The consequences of the episode extended beyond entertainment. Discussions began emerging about the broader cultural implications of such confrontations. What does it say about accountability in hip-hop when commentators challenge established figures so aggressively? How does public scrutiny affect artists' mental health, relationships, and business decisions? Analysts and journalists began framing the incident as more than just drama. It became a case study in modern celebrity, media influence, and the power dynamics within the music industry. Behind the scenes, some insiders reported attempts at damage control. Advisors, publicists, and peers reached out to all parties involved, encouraging statements that could mitigate misinterpretation and prevent escalation. Akademiks, known for his calculated approach, remained unapologetic publicly but reportedly reviewed the episode carefully to gauge potential fallout. Tony Yayo and Uncle Murda, likewise, weighed how future interviews, Public appearances or social media activity might be affected by perceptions stemming from this confrontation. Fan culture played a massive role in extending the life of this episode. Meme creators, reaction channels, and commentary pages amplified key moments, often emphasizing the most dramatic exchanges. Hashtags related to the confrontation surged, further embedding the episode into the digital zeitgeist. This fan-driven amplification demonstrates how modern controversies are co-created by audiences as much as by the personalities themselves. Furthermore, the incident sparked debates about respect and authenticity. Akademiks' critiques often revolved around these core themes, questioning whether established figures are maintaining loyalty to their communities, fans, and the culture at large. Tony Yayo and Uncle Murda, by defending their choices and actions, highlighted the complexities of maintaining personal integrity while navigating public expectations. These contrasting perspectives created a dialogue that extended far beyond the original podcast, sparking broader conversations about values, reputation, and the responsibilities of public figures. The media reaction also contributed to the episode's reach. Major entertainment outlets picked up clips, framing the confrontation as a significant moment in hip-hop commentary. Articles dissected the statements, analyzed body language, and provided historical context, ensuring that audiences unfamiliar with the podcast still engaged with the story. This cross-platform coverage not only extended visibility, but also reinforced the perception that this episode was culturally significant. In the following days, analytics showed a sustained interest in the content. Watch time, comments, and shares remained high, proving that viewers weren't just clicking out of curiosity, they were actively engaging with the material. Discussions continued across forums, reaction videos, and social media posts, with many debating what was said, how it was said, and what it meant for the individuals involved. Some fans even drew comparisons to past hip-hop confrontations, contextualizing the incident within a larger history of drama, rivalry, and accountability in the industry. The episode's legacy, though still unfolding, illustrates the evolving nature of media and celebrity. What once might have been a closed-door disagreement has transformed into a public spectacle with global reach. Akademiks' approach, blending investigation, commentary, and provocation, has proven effective in driving engagement, but it also underscores the potential consequences of pushing boundaries in highly visible spaces. Tony Yayo and Uncle Murda's responses highlight the challenges of navigating scrutiny while remaining authentic to their experiences and values. Ultimately, this confrontation demonstrates the power of storytelling in real time. Every comment, reaction, and viral clip contributes to a larger narrative that continues to evolve long after the podcast ended. Fans and industry observers alike are now left analyzing the implications, who emerged with credibility intact, who may have misstepped, and how this episode will influence future interactions in hip-hop commentary. As the conversation spreads, one truth becomes clear. This isn't just a moment in time, it's a defining chapter for everyone involved. DJ Akademiks, Tony Yayo, and Uncle Murda have sparked a dialogue that transcends the podcast itself, touching on loyalty, respect, and the responsibilities of public figures in an age of instant reaction and widespread scrutiny. For viewers, this is more than entertainment. It's a case study in modern media, celebrity dynamics, and the intersection of culture, influence, and accountability. Every clip shared, every comment posted, and every reaction online contributes to a narrative that will continue to unfold, shaping perceptions and discussions for weeks, months, and perhaps even years to come. The aftermath of this explosive podcast has proven to be just as intense as the confrontation itself. Social media platforms continue to buzz, with reactions, memes, and fan theories dominating timelines. Every clip that emerged from the discussion has been dissected, replayed, and analyzed, creating waves of engagement that show no signs of slowing. What makes this situation unique is how it blends the immediacy of live commentary with the permanence of digital media. Once it's out there, it can't be taken back, and every moment is now a permanent part of the public record. DJ Akademiks' approach in the podcast showcased his trademark style: fearless, provocative, and unrelenting. He challenged Tony Yayo and Uncle Murda in ways that few commentators dare to, raising questions about loyalty, credibility, and authenticity. But while Akademiks' boldness drew praise from fans who admire transparency, it also attracted criticism from those who felt he pushed the conversation too far, turning what could have been a strong discussion into a volatile confrontation. This duality highlights the tightrope he walks as a media personality, balancing entertainment, accountability, and controversy in an era where audiences crave all three simultaneously. Tony Yayo and Uncle Murda's responses were equally telling. Yayo maintained his composure, strategically countering points without escalating unnecessarily, while Murda's fiery energy and quick retorts demonstrated his unwillingness to be intimidated. Their combined reactions created a dynamic tension that kept viewers engaged throughout the episode. What's clear is that this wasn't just a verbal exchange, it was a calculated display of strategy, reputation management, and personal branding. Fans quickly began picking apart moments that hinted at hidden histories or subtle jabs. Each expression, pause, and interjection became fodder for debate, with viewers interpreting gestures and inflections as indications of underlying tensions. Clips labeled shocking moments and Akademiks goes too far began circulating on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter, further amplifying the episode's reach. The viral nature of the content ensured that even casual hip-hop fans, who might not usually follow Akademiks or the rappers involved, were now invested in the narrative. Industry insiders suggest that the discussion will have long-term implications for all parties. For DJ Akademiks, this episode solidified his position as a fearless commentator willing to push boundaries. However, it also serves as a reminder that there's a fine line between accountability and provocation. One misstep could damage relationships or create unnecessary feuds. For Tony Yayo and Uncle Murda, the public nature of their responses underscores the need to navigate confrontations carefully, balancing authenticity with strategic restraint. Part of what makes this saga so compelling is the broader cultural context. Hip-hop has always thrived on conflict, competition, and raw expression, but the digital era has transformed how these interactions play out. No longer confined to the streets or private exchanges, confrontations now unfold publicly, recorded, and shared instantly with millions. Akademiks' podcast exemplifies this shift. A single episode can influence public perception, fan loyalty, and even the trajectory of careers. The public reaction also highlights how audiences engage with controversy differently today. Many fans praise transparency and directness, enjoying unfiltered dialogue, while others crave resolution and accountability without unnecessary escalation. This divide creates a tension in itself, where the same content can be lauded by some and criticized by others, fueling discussion and sustaining engagement over time. Memes, reaction videos, and commentary breakdowns further extended the life of the episode. Fans dissected every line, comparing it with past interviews and statements to contextualize the conversation. Influencers created compilations of Akademiks versus Tony Yayo moments, while analysts wrote posts exploring the implications for hip-hop culture, loyalty, and industry politics. These layered responses illustrate how a single podcast can evolve into a multi-platform, long-term event. Financially and professionally, the exposure generated by this episode is significant. Increased engagement, trending clips, and expanded reach translate into more opportunities for sponsorships, collaborations, and audience growth. Akademiks benefits from visibility and credibility among his followers, while Tony Yayo and Uncle Murda maintain relevance, even amidst criticism, because the public now sees them navigating a high-profile, complex situation. Yet, beyond fame and digital metrics, there is a human element that underpins the drama. Emotions run high, reputations are at stake, and the line between personal and public blurs. For Akademiks, the stakes involve maintaining his credibility as a commentator while avoiding alienation of key figures in hip-hop. For Yayo and Murda, The challenge lies in asserting themselves, defending their reputations, and responding strategically in a landscape where every reaction is amplified and archived forever. As the weeks progress, analysts predict that discussions stemming from this episode will continue to influence hip-hop commentary. Future podcasts, interviews, and online interactions may reference this confrontation as a benchmark of boldness, strategy, and influence. Akademiks' willingness to confront powerful voices on a public platform sets a precedent, while Yayo and Murda's measured responses provide lessons in navigating conflict without losing composure. Ultimately, what this episode demonstrates is that in the modern era of entertainment and celebrity, confrontation is more than drama. It is content, culture, and influence all rolled into one. Every participant must weigh their words carefully, understanding that each moment can resonate far beyond the immediate audience. The interplay between accountability, provocation, and reputation management defines not just this podcast, but the broader landscape of hip-hop commentary today. For fans, the takeaway is clear. The internet is watching, reactions are instantaneous, and every decision is amplified. Engagement isn't just about clicking. It's about interpreting, sharing, and participating in a cultural conversation that extends across platforms and demographics. The lasting impact of this episode will be measured not just in views or likes, but in how it shapes the narrative of those involved and the community watching closely. One thing is undeniable. This is a defining moment for DJ Akademiks, Tony Yayo, and Uncle Murda. The drama, intensity, and controversy will be remembered not as isolated incidents, but as a reflection of modern hip-hop culture, media influence, and the power of digital audiences. What happens next? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain. This conversation has set a new standard for confrontation, accountability, and engagement in the world of hip-hop commentary, and the internet will be watching every move from here on out.